we are picking up where we left off with the mink, Mustela bison. You can see its range right here. So long. A mink is a mustelid. We're still in the mustelids. It's kind of like a weasel. The mink is a determined predator. Semi-aquatic, it hunts for fish, but also for a wide variety of prey, including waterfowl and mammals like muskrats, which form an important part of the diet. It kills by biting the neck and eats at the kill site, though it may drag prey back to the den, which is always near water, generally a disused burrow of another species, and temporary. It is an excellent swimmer with partly webbed feet and can dive to more than 16 feet. Highly territorial, it fights whenever it encounters other mink, except during breeding. Its scent marks its territory with a foul-smelling discharge from its anal glands, which it also uses if threatened. Mating occurs between late winter and April. Up to 10 young are born in a den and are weaned at about 6 weeks. The family separates in early fall. Okay, next we have the American marten, Martes americana, and you can see its range here. Mainly nocturnal, the American marten is a good climber and often uses a hollow tree, squirrel nest, or woodpecker hole as a daytime refuge. When I was scoping out my spot to film, I saw a beautiful woodpecker. It was gorgeous. I don't know exactly which species. I would have to look it up to confirm, but it was like your traditional red woodpecker that you'd expect with like the really beautiful red crown. It was gorgeous. I couldn't get a good picture though. Anyways. During the night, dawn, dusk, or overcast weather, it hunts rodents on the ground. Red-backed voles are an important component of the diet, but it also eats rabbits, squirrels, carrion, insects, earthworms, berries, and honey. It is usually solitary and behaves aggressively if it meets another, snarling and growling. It makes a variety of other noises, including screams, chuckles, and whines. Both sexes scent mark logs and branches, dragging the scent glands on the abdomen over the surface. Martens mate in midsummer, but implantation is delayed until midwinter. A litter of, on average, 3 to 4 helpless young is born in late spring. They are weaned 6 weeks later. Okay, next we have the American badger. The American badger. Look at this big boy. American badger, Taxidia taxus. The American badger is squat and powerful, with strong claws for digging. Generally nocturnal, daylight is spent in a burrow. A single badger may have several such dens in its territory, moving between them while searching for food. The burrow has a single entrance, and a latrine area may be located just outside. The entrance can be blocked during severe weather. The American badger eats a variety of small mammals, but is particularly suited to catching ones that also burrow, like prairie dogs, which it digs out. Excess food is stored. It can be very aggressive and has few predators, but usually prefers to retreat rather than fight. American badgers only come together during the mating season. In late summer, implantation is delayed, and up to 5 young are born in a maternal den in spring. They disperse in late summer. It's so big. It's so squat. Ooh, okay. Next we have the Wolverine. The Wolverine. Look at those toofies. Wolverine. Gulo. The male Wolverine has an enormous home range of more than 1,000 square miles, through which it moves constantly, searching for food. It is powerful and omnivorous, and one of its popular names is the glutton. It eats anything it can find, from moose slowed by snow to vegetation. It is so aggressive that it is capable of driving other predators, even mountain lions and bears, away from a kill. The Wolverine scent marks any excess food with a foul-smelling musk, which other scavengers evidently find repulsive. Its den is in a protected place such as a crevice. The mating season is extended, possibly to increase the likelihood of the sexes encountering each other. It does not hibernate, but implantation is delayed and the litter of 2 to 5 young is born in early spring. Juvenile wolverines remain with their mother for 2 years. I read a lot of scientific literature about wolverines during my degree. They're so interesting. They're so cool. Okay. Next we have the Long-Tailed Weasel. Look how it looks like my dachshund. It's so long. The Long-Tailed Weasel, Mustela frenata. A voracious carnivore, the long-tailed weasel is widespread, preying mainly on mice and voles, but capable of tackling prey larger than itself if nothing smaller is available. Mustelids do not mess around. That explains... I wonder if... I think weasels are what dachshunds were bred for, like to hunt, because they're long and skinny and can go into the burrows, and they put up a good fight because they're pretty stubborn. I'll have to fact check myself on that, but I think that's correct, which is hilarious because there's no way my little doxy would be able to do that. It helps to control rabbits, but hunts birds and can do serious damage in a chicken coop. Weasels sometimes indulge in a killing spree. Their instinct is to kill when food is available and store it. It is a prey animal itself. When threatened, it releases a foul musk from its anal glands, which it also uses for scent marking. It dens in other animals' disused burrows, constructing an inner nest. It mates in summer, but final implantation is delayed until spring. There are 4 to 8 young in the litter, born blind and almost naked. They mature quickly, however, and separate from their mother after about 2 months. In more northerly areas, the long-tailed weasel turns white during the pre-winter molt. It retains the black-tailed tip. Ooh, okay. Next we have the striped skunk. Mephitis. It's got a very large range. The striped skunk's coloring acts as a warning that it is best avoided. If not, it releases a fetid, stinking musk from its anal glands. It does not usually need to do this, as its initial display is enough to persuade many predators to retreat. Should they fail to do so, the skunk will turn its back, raise its tail, and spray. The smell can be detected for a mile. Omnivorous, the striped skunk is essentially nocturnal and will consume anything appropriate to its size, eating a lot in fall to prepare for winter, though it does not hibernate. It dens in an abandoned burrow, though it will sometimes dig its own. Maternal dens are always underground. It mates in spring, and the litter of 4 to 7 young is born in May or June. They carry the distinctive markings from birth. Striped skunks are the main carriers of rabies in the U.S. I was going to say that if this book didn't touch on that. A lot of people want to think that possums have rabies, but we already talked about that in a past video of this, and lots of other animals which can sometimes carry rabies, but 9 times out of 10 skunks are like the main carriers of that. Okay, I guess we are done with the mustelids, and we are moving on to, let's see, ungulates, I think. Hooved creatures. So we have the collared peccary. You can see its collar right here. Tayasu tajaku. I did not know that was its Latin name. And you can see its very small range right here. collared peccary is the only pig-like animal native to North America. It is subtropical and is only found in some southern states. Originally, its range extended further north, but it was hunted for both meat and hide. Herds were once enormous. Today, they consist of 6 to 30 animals. Led by a dominant male, a group is strongly territorial. Though stable, subgroups may form and detach themselves temporarily in order to feed. The collared peccary secretes a strong, cheesy musk. Sorry, that's such a weird way to describe it. Okay. Collared peccary secretes a strong, cheesy musk, which may help unite group members. It certainly acts as an involuntary alarm signal. A herbivore most of the time, it occasionally eats insects, reptiles, and small mammals. It can breed throughout the year, but many young peccaries are born in summer. One litter of 2 to 6 young is produced each year, although a second may follow if the first does not survive. Okay, next we have a bighorn sheep. Oh, look at that bighorn sheep. Ovis canadensis, bighorn sheep. The bighorn sheep is a good swimmer and remarkable climber. The hooves have soft soles, enabling it to cross precipitous terrain. Most of the time, it's spent on high mountain slopes, and it sleeps in a scrape or depression wherever it happens to be, often on ridges, but sometimes in caves. It eats vegetation, migrating between higher slopes in summer and high valleys in winter. Bighorn sheep live in a small, sex-segregated bands. Small ram bands and larger ones led by an old ewe. They join in winter when there can be 100 individuals in a herd, all led by the matriarch. In fall, the rams begin butting contests, charging each other at speed, and the dominant ram does most of the mating. A single lamb is born in early summer. Lambing takes place in the most inaccessible areas. Unsurprisingly, the lamb is well developed. It can walk and climb almost immediately. When the offspring of an animal can almost immediately take care of itself in terms of being able to walk or move around rather freely, that means it's precocial. In the case of bighorn sheep, for example, the lambs, are able to walk around. They're well developed as soon as they are born. I'm pretty sure most ungulates are like that, so they're precocial. A lot of mammals, not all of them, but a lot of mammals, like human babies, for example, are altricial, which means that they can't take care of themselves and they're underdeveloped when they come out of the womb. Okay, next we have the American bison or buffalo. It's the same thing. American bison or buffalo. Bison. And you can see its range. The American bison or buffalo is the largest land animal in North America. Millions once grazed the plains and were central to the life of Native Americans. The deliberate destruction of the species took place in the 19th century. Efforts to preserve them started early in the 20th. It survives mainly in national parks and private ranches. At its most active at cooler times of day, it eats grass and other vegetation. If necessary, clearing winter snow, with its hooves and head. Outside of the breeding season, the sexes form separate herds, often quite small. During breeding, the herds combine, increasing in size. As bulls age, they become more solitary. During the breeding season, between June and September, they become aggressive and may fight each other. Following mating and a gestation period of about 9 months, a single calf is usually born, though there are sometimes twins. Calves can stand and walk very quickly. With their mothers, they may form a nursery herd. Next we have the moose. Alces. And again, you can see it's very northern range. The moose is essentially solitary, but may form small groups to exploit good food sources. The male is particularly distinctive. The antlers start developing in spring, are at their largest in late summer, and are shed in winter. It feeds on aquatic vegetation and on woody plants in winter. The mating season comes in fall and can be noisy, the males barking and bellowing, challenging rivals as they charge through the forest seeking females. Mock fights and challenges occur between males and can escalate into actual fights, which may be fatal. This is usually avoided as one male will often back down. Calves, usually 1 or 2, are born in early summer, can walk quickly and swim within 2 weeks. They are driven away by their mothers just before the birth of the next calf. Oh, the lighting changed a little bit, so the sun's like right overhead. Also, moose are ginormous. I think I might have seen one in person when we went to like a nature park. It was kind of in the style of a safari, like a drive-through safari in Canada, but I've never seen a wild moose in person. But either way, they're ginormous. They are huge. People do not realize how like giant and scary they are. Their length, including tail, is 7 to 10 feet, and their weight is 700 to 1,400 pounds. Okay. Next we have the elk, or wapiti. The elk. Cervus elaphus. And let me make sure there's not another one. Okay, I didn't think so. So you can see the range of the elk is here, but we actually, the native range of like most other stuff, used to be much larger, and we actually had some in Tennessee historically, and we are slowly working on bringing them back. They're actually back in very, very tiny parts of Tennessee. So, the elk, also known by the Shawnee name of wapiti, is highly sociable, and herds can have hundreds of members. Most are cows and calves, the bulls tending to group together on the edges. The elk feeds on many kinds of vegetation, usually grazing, but will also eat lichen. The amount and quality of available food seems to be a determining factor in the time of mating, the number of cows who conceive, and the age of puberty. During breeding, males may joust, clashing their antlers, but they are often not injured. They also make distinctive bugling. They often make distinctive bugling calls, roll in stagnant water or mud, and toss scent-marked grasses over their backs. A single bull herds many cows together and may mate with as many as 50, establishing a harem. Calves born after 9 months join a nursery herd for the first few weeks, then the cows and calves herd together. Next we have the white-tailed deer. White-tailed deer. It's a little fawn, a little spotted fawn. Odocoilus virginianus. The white-tailed deer is common, widespread, and generally nocturnal, though it may be active at any time of the day. In summer it feeds on green plants, with nuts entering the diet in fall and woody vegetation becoming important in winter. It often uses distinct trails to reach feeding areas. The group then spreads out to feed. This group may consist of a doe and her fawns. Bucks form a separate band. The male bands are stable, sociable groups until the breeding season, when they begin to challenge each other for dominance. 2 males will spar, trying to push each other into reversing. Larger matriarchal but mixed-sex groups may form in winter with over 100 members. A doe's first offspring is usually a single fawn. Thereafter twins or even triplets are common. They usually stay with their mother until the next are born, at which point she drives the older ones away. Okay, I'm going to do one more, and then I'll give you guys a sneak peek. So, next we have the pronghorn. Antilope capra americana. The pronghorn has been recorded running at 70 miles per hour for minutes at a time. Speeds of 45 miles per hour are not uncommon. When running, it keeps its mouth open to maximize oxygen intake. It feeds on a variety of plants, including cacti, and does not drink much if it can eat green vegetation. It can reach food through light snow cover, but worse weather forces it to migrate. There were once large herds across the prairies, but numbers were much reduced. Its range is expanding once more in response to conservation measures. During summer, it roams in scattered groups, with older males separate from females, fawns, and younger males. The experienced males establish territories and defend them against challengers. The pronghorn mates in early fall, and fawns are born in early summer. Fawns have virtually no odor to minimize the risk of predation. In addition, the female will separate twins. So, there's our pronghorn. And there's our sneak peek for next time. Looks like we're moving into the pinnipeds.